All right, so everybody should see the red sign. We are live.
We are live.
We are live
You
from
already know.
secret destinations, locations. All
Very
right,
top secret.
very
Nobody
top
knows
secret.
about
We
this.
don't let nobody know where you at
Nobody.
all for
No.
several reasons. Yo, you ready?
Go ahead.
Let's go. Yes, sir. And we are back with another one. As always, it's your new favorite podcast. And as always, it's your favorite Mason. And
It's the girl at Lemon Squeeze.
it's the girl.
It's the girl at this point. Corey Dees, aka Lemon Squeeze, aka the host of Ho, aka the vessel. Welcome back to Hush Your Mouth. We have guests here. Today we have Ty.
Hold on. I didn't even get your gunshots off. Look at
Oh,
you.
I ain't even here today.
Let's go.
We have Ty here, aka Tropic Lucas, on YouTube, as well as a well-known guest here on Hush Your Mouth, Tina. Welcome.
Hey,
welcome.
Applause for both of you guys.
Yes, applause.
Appreciate
So before we jump into the show, let's do our mental health check-in because we got a good one. So we might need to check on our mental health. But
Before and
I know my
after
mental
this.
health is all over the place, especially because I didn't know, like I didn't see doing it from my phone today. I didn't see the theme song. It caught me off thought. So that's something that we need to figure that out. But okay. So Tina, how are you today? How was your week?
My week has been okay. I've been helping to plan my brother's celebration of life. So it's been a mental struggle for me. Absolutely. I lost him 3 weeks ago. But other than that, I've been working and going to school and just being all around Tina.
Well,
Condolences.
And you are so very strong. And I love to see that beautiful smile just radiating on our Hush and Mouth today. Thank you for being able to be a guest, even though we're going through a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Lucas, Ty, what's
Yeah.
poppin'? How are you? How was your week?
Busy as hell for the most part, as usual. I mean, I work hard. I'm a welder, soccer coach, father, husband. So, for the most part, nothing stops. So.
Okay, that's dope. Welcome to Hush Your Mouth. Mason.
Yeah. What's going on? I'm trying to think. Did we talk about my massive hangover?
We did.
Last one? Okay.
It's rough.
I think it was still happening. But other than that, we saw each other 2 days ago. You were in a different location. But ever since then, nothing's happening. I definitely have been staying away from alcohol, cheap alcohol, Mexican spots, anything that would remind me of the hangover from Monday. So, yeah, I'm doing good.
But
what's up, Lemon Squeeze?
Wait a minute, but are you getting drunk this weekend, though? That's the real question.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Back to regular schedule this Friday, actually. In another 24 hours, we'll be back out here having a good time.
I'm definitely over here trying to be as drunk as you was on Tuesday. I want to hang over for the next 3 days. You know?
Okay.
Today,
I ain't going to be mad at you.
My babe's birthday, so it's just been a long day.
Hold on. Matter of fact, that's mine. I'm gonna make sure she gets yours.
Yeah, she make her own thing.
It's everything.
So it's been a long day of preparation with the kids and getting them to where they had to go, and then ending up in my very secret location.
Closet.
Why would you tell people? Listen, anyway. So Today,
You know what's funny? Because we always talk about how you get in the closet and you change, you come out somebody different.
Yeah, no,
So,
now I feel like I'm really trapped in the closet. Yeah.
it is what it is.
Oh man, today here on Hush Your Mouth, we got a really good topic going on. We kind of introduced it on our Talk to Me Tuesday episode. It's the fear of dating black. Is that the fears while dating black? How'd you change it? It's fears of dating black. So I want everybody to know Side Panel produced this episode. So if you hear questions that might trigger you, shout out Side Panel in the comments. No, you didn't.
There's some triggering questions.
Some triggering questions. Fears while dating black. How you guys feel about that topic? You guys know the questions, but what were your thoughts when you heard the topic or when we sent them out to you guys? Tina?
Well, I know that it's very hairy, especially when you come from a biracial background. And that's definitely me. My grandmother was white, so and I have family members that are dating and have married outside of their race, but it doesn't change the fact of how I feel. I love them, but I stand firm on what I believe.
Mm-hmm. Lucas.
I mean, my opinion is a little different because I'm not from like the East Coast or the South. I'm from the middle of this horrid rock we live on, and it's kind of all mixed up where I'm from. So, I mean, I got native, I got white, I got black. You don't really limit yourself to one thing. There's never been a situation in my life where it's like you can't date this person, you can't date that person. So it's just kind of whatever.
That's dope. Mason?
You know me, I'm in Brooklyn, so I'm in New York. There's nothing more melting pot than New York. So I'm around a little bit of everything. Anything you could think of, there's that here. But for me, it's very interesting because my stance is more about preference, and it's not a hard stance one way or the other. So it'll be interesting to go through these questions. What about you, Corey? How do you feel?
I'm always like the one that's just like, woo, she's a little, what you say, Tina? I'm the butterfly.
Yes, Lord.
Such a pretty way to put it. You're the butterfly.
So I think that just means unique and very special in their own way.
I agree.
That's what that means.
I agree.
So that's me. And I see, the funny thing is that this topic is like, I don't fear like dating black, honestly. I fear dating other people, white, prospectively. So my views on this topic with certain questions was just like, yeah, this is going to be the one where they be like, Corey is. When I first met Tina, and we had a conversation about this. This is why I thought she would be a good person to have on the show. She was like, "Oh my gosh, she's racist," like look at her, little racist. And I was like, "I'm not racist, but I might be a little racist." And now, I love white people. I have white friends and everything like that. But when it comes to dating, I wouldn't necessarily date a Caucasian person. That's just I think that's a matter of preference, though. But we'll figure that out as we get deeper into the show.
Cool.
Let's jump into it.
I was going to say, you want to jump right into it? We're not going to waste any time.
We're not wasting no time.
All right. So first segment, first question. Why do black men and women carry negative stigmas? So do one at a time. So why do black men carry negative stigmas? What do you think? Ty, what do you think as a black man?
The only like weird issue I have with that question, like when we say stigmas, is this like stigmas that are like stereotypical stigmas or like things that we actually go through on a regular basis type stigmas? Like
a little bit of both.
It was a little bit of both.
All right, so when it comes to like stereotypes, I guess I don't perform, but at the same time, like I kind of step into it. Like I really could care less about some of that stuff. So, like, I mean, when it comes to stereotypes of black men, a lot of people look at us as like we're to be feared or stuff like that. But I think that's more of like just taught behavior for real, because everybody's different. You can't base how every single black man acts off of what you see on TV or how this one particular guy does. That does not like group everybody in the same thing, because we're all very much different.
I agree.
Okay. But what are some of the stigmas though that come along with maybe dating a black man from your perspective? Well, that you encountered.
That they would like to call us like abusive, or they would like to say that we're lazy, or that we're like drug abusers, or that we have multiple women all the time,
Uh,
or that there's like several baby mamas, or like
That was one of them.
definitely ain't got no father or something. Like,
mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, some of that stuff is true, but at the same time, like, there's historical things that
Reasons.
happened, to make those things either true or just a stereotype. So it just depends on for me, it's all person by person basis, because not everybody's the same.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
but yeah, I mean, the stigmas are definitely there. And then for the women, it's some of the same things. Like they grew up without a father, so they might not have that discipline in their life to stop them from being hot girl summerish. You know what I'm saying? So, or they ain't got daddy around, so the inability to submit might not have been
We going right
instilled
there.
in
That
them.
That's how you
part.
feel right now,
I
Todd.
love
Like right
it.
there,
Yes,
right to the
Let me
trigger,
just go
right
throw
to the
that right
trigger
out there
words.
real
All
quick,
right,
and then
the inability to
so
submit. My man, Todd.
oh
Jeez,
god.
bro.
Tina, what?
So I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying, like some of those things, some of those stigmas that they say, like, but that's not always it. Sometimes it's different based on what they've been through or what their parents have shown them, or what mom only if you got only mom, you only heard mom words, and maybe mom ain't that way, so you think that's okay to be that way. But
Mhm.
I can't base all of that on like we carrying these stigmas, because everybody's different. Like I said. So,
Okay. Okay. That was a good one. Tina, what you think?
I believe society has a lot to do with the stigmas that we as Black people are facing. Um, Media, I don't even watch the news because it heightens everything to a level of irrationality. So even just like I agree with Blue said that the stigmas of men are lazy, they're cheaters, they have several different baby moms, they sell drugs, or they're drug abusers, are some of the stigmas for our Black men and women. I mean, of course, the number one thing for us is we have a bad attitude. That's like the number one stigma that we have to deal with.
Mhm.
And I, it's funny, but we'll get into it later. But that one, and I think another one is that having to look perfect is a stigma for us as Black women. The competition, even amongst ourselves, we place that stigma on each other. So it's not even sometimes some of the stigmas don't have to do with racial uh, boundaries, but we do that amongst ourselves a lot. And
Mhm.
then it's like the question is, we do that amongst ourselves. So why should we be surprised that other races do it to us? So
Tina, I can't help but ask this question. Do you feel that Black women compete with everyone? Do you feel like there's a competition with their male counterparts, with other Black women, with white women? Do you feel like Black women have the stigma of competing with everybody, like they're
absolutely,
ultra competitive?
we were made by design to have to compete.
Hmm.
Even back picking cotton,
Hmm.
it was a competition. We had to survive. They minimize and disgrace our men, so we in turn had to become the men, which created a competition between us and the men, because now we had to step into their place. They want it back now, but we have been doing it for so long. So
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. We have to compete because we've been taught that we are worthless and we're only good for one thing, and that's
Hmm.
that hot girl summer stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So there is a competition. Absolutely, I feel it all the
Okay.
time, and I see it.
I definitely want to jump into that conversation a little bit more. But as far as the stigmas, I think that a lot of what Ty said and a lot of what Tina said is definitely true. I think I would just add that Black men aren't family men. I think that's the number one stigma, that Black men can't lead a family, be a part of a family, or want to stick around to, help raise their kids and things of that nature. I think that's the number one stigma. I think the other stigma is sexual stigmas. I think that there's a whole, overly sexualized thing that goes along with being a Black man. I think there's a lot that you agree with me, Ty?
Yo, like, okay, so the book that is propping my phone up right now is called White Fright, and it's literally about how white men were afraid of the Black sexuality and what it would do to white women.
And I think
So,
that still plays a role in today's society.
oh,
I
for
know
sure,
a
for
lot
sure.
of races that will, and for lack of better words, will sleep with a Black man but would never marry a Black man. And that's a goal. That's a thing that's out there. So I think that Black men are sexualized or overly sexualized. I think that's also a stigma that we have to
I
contend
mean,
with.
I think that's the Black race in general, though,
Yep.
not just Black men, because there's a lot of Black men that want they would call it the thrill of sleeping with a Black woman, but they could never bring a Black woman home to mom.
Yep.
You said the
So
white
so
man,
that
right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a white man would want to sleep with a Black woman, and that's a lot of how like it was in slavery. Like they wanted to do it, but when that baby came, that baby gone. You know what I'm saying? Or that baby in the house, and don't nobody know that's Master's son.
Oh, they
You know
knew.
what I'm saying? So,
they
I
definitely
mean,
knew.
but shit, it
But yeah,
could have
so
been a handler's son though. Could have been a handler's son. Never know.
nah, they be knowing. Trust me. So I mean that overly sexualization, if I'm saying it right, I may be jumbling them up, but overly sexualized men and women. That's a good point. I think that's also a stigma. The competitive nature of the Black woman is also a thing that I think, and I think the angry Black women stereotype, the fight against that is also a stigma. It's like, you know, it's attitude, but it's not even just attitude. It's angry. It's always associated with being angry. So if a Black woman's assertive, she's angry. If she's a businesswoman, she's an angry Black woman. She's a bitch. She's all that. Before she gets complimented for being assertive, a businesswoman, and things like that. So I think that those are the stigmas that stick out to me. What do you think?
I agree with everybody here. We
Yeah, I
all,
agree.
we all. I think y'all said a lot of the stigmas that are kind of like normal for Black men and Black women. I was gonna say we all want child support, Mason.
I didn't even get to it.
I
Yeah.
was just
Oh,
waiting to say
man. I'm mad at myself right now. That's
it. I
usually
was waiting.
like,
I was sitting here
man,
like.
damn.
So that's one. Because people of all races probably think if you with a Black woman, she's taking your child support. There's a lot of Black women that do not want your child support money. It's a lot of women who actually feel like the need. No, there's a lot of Black women that actually feel the need to prove to you that she doesn't even need your money in order to care
And
for
a
her.
lot of these women know the system too, and they also know that if you don't put that man on child support, he does not get to see his child.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So that's not always the reason why they don't put their man on child support. Sometimes it's a control factor.
Well, that's enlightenment. That's people. That's women. Period. It don't got to be a color type of thing for that. I would just say
That's what I'm just saying. I didn't put no color to that. I'm just saying that's why a woman in general might not put her man on child support.
Wow.
Because
I never
by
thought about
law,
that.
if he's paying, you can't stop him from seeing that child.
That's true. But I was just really talking about the women that just. It's so many women, especially like a Black woman raising children that won't put their kid's father on child support because they feel like they don't want to make you feel like they really need you. But that also goes back to I feel like Black women more than any other race of women feel the need to show their independence. It goes back to what Tina was kind of saying. So I'm just piggybacking off of that. Like they feel the need to show that independence because we just been raised to just chuck it up and take everything on the chin. You can handle it. You're strong. I don't want to be a strong Black woman no more. And I need the child support still.
Yeah, child support is not indicative of strength. Like let's clear that up. I think there's also a stigma. There's a big stigma that there's a lot more black women on public assistance and child support and any type of like federal like assistance programs. And I don't think that the numbers are as most people would think.
Or what
Yeah,
about
it's gone down a lot.
what about the stigma of that maybe if she's a African American woman, she grew up in the projects, or she got some type of hood descendants or something in her.
Descendants.
I don't know.
He got some hood descendants.
I know, like it's just crazy. But yeah, so I definitely agree with everybody. We all made some good points here. Question number
Definitely.
2.
Number 2, why do black men date outside their race more frequently than black women?
Well, Tina, why do you think? Because you have family members that was your grandfather black and your grandma white?
Yeah. I feel the reason that black men do date outside their race is because they're a softer spoken race, more humbler race, because they haven't been subjected to what we as black women through history have been subjected to. I feel that our black men have been so put down that we as black women have lost respect because of not taking care of their kids, their absent fathers, the cheating, the bitterness that develops between the two parents. So what happens is they get tired of the fight with the black woman. It's a power struggle between us, amongst our men and our women. Other races, you ain't got that because they ain't never had to watch their men penises be cut off. They ain't never had to struggle. They ain't never had. I'm not saying that there isn't any. My grandmother had a great life. Okay, they were actually, people thought they was rich, and they weren't. They was poor hillbillies, but because of the color of their skin and some of the things that they had, it looked that way. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like because there is a power struggle between black men and black women, everything that we've been through, the imperfections that have built, it's a little easier to date outside of a race where the woman isn't headstrong or she doesn't feel like she has to take control. Where, you know, when you have been facing the world as a black man and you come home, the last thing you want to do is hear somebody's mouth flapping about what you need to do. I
just want to acknowledge that great point you made, Tina. Go ahead, continue.
My sister-in-law was very submissive to my brother, and he loved it. I've seen him date black women and I've seen him date white women, and we have a lot of, I'm not going to say attitude, we have a standard that we expect because of our struggle with them. You come in this life, you've been spoon-fed, you don't have to struggle. It's easy to say, yes, honey, of course, honey, whatever you want to do, honey. It's easy to do that. But when I've been out there facing racism just as well as you have, I'm being beat up too. Sometimes it's a disconnect. I'm not being spoon-fed. You understand what I'm saying? You're being spoon-fed. The other races are being spoon-fed. There's white privilege all the time. There's Asian privilege. I mean, let's be real. There's no black privilege. So it does look a little easier, and it feels easier to the black man when he has been put down, slapped around. It is easier, you know. And I've had my brother say that, so that's why I'm speaking of what I have heard. It's easier. I don't have to deal with that. The struggles that we've done as black women and black men, they haven't had to deal with it. So it is easier.
Okay. Ty, what do you think?
My opinion is very, very different because my experience is very, very different. So I guess you could say I'm not a typical black guy. I like things that most black women probably would not like, but I'm only assuming that. Me growing up, I grew up in partially suburbs, like not suburbs, like middle class, but also in the hood. Like my dad was middle class, higher middle class. My mom was like in the hood. I grew up most of my life with my mom, but I experienced both almost equally.
Uh-huh.
Growing up, I definitely went for black girls, but was always rejected by black girls.
Okay.
But when I did get black girls, it was good, but it never lasted. It just never lasted. Either I was picking the wrong ones, or I just wasn't that type of dude. I ain't never really been a hood dude like that. Not really my style. Um, but I've dated black girls, Asian girls, African girls, white girls, and it just so happens to be that the white girl put in the most work, the most work, and I wasn't necessarily submissive because my wife is not really all that submissive, yeah, and she's white, and my kids are mixed. My dad is married to a white woman. My mom is married to a white man, but she was not. My mom was not always with white men. Most of my life, she was with black men. Just never worked out. I can't say that I ever had a relationship where the black girl was like nagging or anything like that, like negative. It's just like I was always just simply rejected by the black girl that I wanted to date. So I either settle for a black girl I don't want or get a white girl that I might want, or Asian girl, or African girl, or different non-black, non-African American girl. So for me, didn't really have anything to do with black girl attitude.
Uh-huh.
It was more of black woman rejection. Like I remember, like a year or two ago, they were talking about the weird black guy and how they're undateable. That's kind of the category I fit into because I ain't really hood and I'm kind of educated and you know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole there though there's the stigma. That's one thing that I guess I fit into is I'm a little bit different. I think different. I have different opinions on black culture, different opinions on dating, on life. So when I run into like your typical black woman, they're like, this nigga's weird. This thing, I don't like his opinion. I don't like how he acts. He's kind of like arrogant, I guess. But
Uh-huh.
it's like I've always spoken kind of on the intelligent side. I mean, I'm silly as fuck, but kind of spoken on the intelligent side, and I guess that's a turn on. I
So
don't know.
how much Ty, let me just ask you, how much of this is based on just your environment? Because it seems like 90% of what you're saying is just based on who you were around. It wasn't so much preference. It wasn't so much anything
Um,
that made you feel that way. It's just your environment.
Probably 90% of that.
Okay.
Because I mean, the biggest from what Tina said, that's my
Uh-huh.
mom.
Uh-huh.
What Tina said about how black women are, that's my mom for sure. That's my mom, my grandma, my aunt. That's all of it. But that's never been a reason why I wasn't like strictly dating black women. It's just where I'm from. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. It is
Uh-huh.
like you said, a melting pot in Brooklyn. It's for real, a melting pot there. We got everything there, and there is no segregation at all.
Okay.
There might be a hood school, but every race is in that school. You might be in the hood, but every race is in that hood. It's
Uh-huh.
not just black people. Like it's everybody. So you're never really isolated to the point where you can only go for this. I mean, I do know a lot of people that only date black people,
Uh-huh.
but it's never been a situation where it's like, oh, you're this and that because you only date black people. That's only when I left Iowa that I started to experience that, where like black women will definitely be like, oh yeah, I'd never talk to you because you've been with a white girl, period.
Uh-huh.
Like, and that's weird, and it's way more prevalent on the East Coast that I hear that.
Interesting.
That
Because
is.
for me, I've seen several things and several reasons why a black man would date a white woman or a woman of another ethnicity and things like that. Some of it is preference. Some of it is the way that they look. Something just that simple. Like I
That's
prefer
my dad.
Spanish women because they look like this. I prefer white women because they look like this. I've seen others that think of it as a status symbol. I think others, it's it's classy or it looks a certain way, or this white woman, can mingle with a certain group of people because that's who I mingle with. So I've seen that as well. For me, it's also a third thing where it's what Tina said about the competition. And I think that if you're in a relationship and you're competing with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
it's very destructive. And I think
It's a battle.
I think that most scenarios, I think there's the woman competing with the men, and that's not what the situation should be. So for some men, it's like they're trying to avoid that situation where your home team, your support system, isn't really supporting you. In other words, they're tearing you down in whichever way, just like Tina mentioned, because they're going through their own situations, and maybe they want better for you, and the only way they know to support you is to call you names, because that's the way that they were supported when they were kids, or whatever the case may be, whatever their history is. So I think that also has to play with it, because if you look at other scenarios and other families and other structures and other relationships with people of other races, it's not a lot of that going on. I think that that's unique to a black couple, where it's a lot of competitiveness. I don't think there's two white people that are competing with each other. I don't think there's two Italian people that are competing with each other, Chinese, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that that's also something that deters black men from dating. But I definitely see Ty's point about the environment, because that also plays a huge role.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that because I was raised around all uh basically I probably is like six of us in the whole entire school, six black kids in the whole entire school. So the diversity that I have in my life is ginormous. Like I went to a black school, I was afraid, and that's real talk. That's how much atmosphere I've been around white people. I was afraid to go to an all black school, honestly.
Why is
But
that? What were your thoughts? If you don't mind me jumping into that.
the stigma, it was dangerous.
Dangerous.
And bullied, fights all the time. This is
But you know what's crazy though? Like, I'm sorry to cut you off.
no. Go ahead. Go
When
ahead.
I talk about how my dad was like high middle class, when I went and lived with him for a couple of years, I ended up like my sisters are mixed, both of them, and my younger sister's more passable than my sister that's closer to my age. But I was literally the only black person in my entire grade, and I fought more there than I ever did at the black school. Like I actually fit in more at the black schools because everybody was minding their own business. Like when I went to the white school, all the little white boys was like, "Oh, here we go." You know what I'm saying? They felt like they had something to prove, or maybe they thought it was cool to pick on the black kid. But I was the only one getting in trouble every time I defended myself. So it was weird.
That also had to do with stigma.
Absolutely.
I think acceptance is also a big thing too. You just mentioned that you go where you're accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
and that's basically my point, like to the rejection thing of like
Right.
Yeah,
like,
I definitely get you. I definitely
I'm gonna
get
be
you.
with a black girl if they don't want me.
Yeah. Ty, you said earlier about the white women putting in work. What do you mean by that? I just wanted some clarity on.
I mean, like, okay, so from the relationship with black girls I've been in to the relationship with white girls I've been in, the being cared for, like you got people care about you, but people that actually care for you, that's totally different. Like somebody who's gonna say, "Are you okay?" Then will let me make sure you're okay. Let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. You know what I'm saying? If they checking on you, there's action behind it. Some people will talk it all day long, but won't actually do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically the difference.
And in your experience, that's unique to the race?
No, that's unique to the person.
The person. Okay. Just want to clear that up.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm saying. Like I've been in relationships with black girls where they did do that, but it didn't necessarily last. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this person, she happens to be white, but she got to the point where okay, it's a significant thing right here. It's the work is being put in on a consistent basis. It ain't changing. It's going forward.
Okay.
It ain't. There is no complacency or okay, I got him. Let me stop working. You know what I mean? Like it was the work.
So Yvonne said, "I feel that white women do more for their men." I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think,
I don't necessarily.
I think it's more along the lines of what Ty said. What were you saying, Tina?
I don't agree with that. That is definitely because I had a cousin that had a white woman and she was lazy as heck.
And that's why we saying my brother's baby mom was.
The house was filthy, and I think like you said, probably it has a lot to do with the person. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I seen it all because I have so much interracial activity close in my family. My mom used to sit around with his mom and talk about her, and I would see the kids and they be looking a mess, and I'm like, and it's funny because I'm like, she's white. I thought they were supposed to be right. I used to say that all the time.
It's that
my mom used to go. My mom used
to
go crazy on my brother's baby mom. Like, she's a white woman too, but she just nasty. Like, I'm like, bruh, like, mom didn't raise us like this, bro. What are you doing? Like, come on, son. Like, and the crazy thing is like, okay, so my older brother, he left this beautiful young black lady, and she had a kid and everything, but she's beautiful. She take care of herself. She got a job. She had her own place. She's doing everything. She really wanted to be his wife, but he left her to be with this big, nasty, like.
I take it you don't like her too much.
The family don't like her too much, bro. It ain't just me. Like,
so maybe
I don't know
too
many
her.
people that like her.
Oh, wow.
I don't know too many people that like her.
It may be her. All right. Let me jump into the next question. Unless you guys have anything else to add to that part.
No, that's it.
No. So the next question is, do black women only date outside their race for financial gain? So is it a come up for black women when they date outside their race, white men or any other men?
Not at all.
No, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but I don't think that is 100% the reason. I think it's kind of my personal opinion, 50-50 on that, because I know some black girls that like white men as a preference. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't like your typical like nerdy Trevor type. There might be some hood white dudes out here. You know what I'm saying? They got game, they got a little swag, so they can pull them. But if we're talking like a Trevor, you know what I'm saying? He got like a 401k and stuff like that. I do see that too a lot. So
do you think it's just a hunt for stability versus race? Is it like women are just more into stability?
Yeah.
What do you think, Tina?
Sometimes.
I believe it has a lot to do with stability, especially if you come from a home that had no stability and it's something new that has been launched in your life. I grew up without my father. My father left when I was 6 months old, so the only example I had was my mother. And unfortunately, when we're dating, you have to check people's backgrounds because I am strong and independent because I was raised by a single mother. It has nothing to do with disrespect to anyone. It has nothing to do with that. It just happens to be I was raised by a strong black woman and I just handle my business. Submission is something I do have a problem with because of what it means, but I know we'll get into that later. But I just feel that
the trigger word of all trigger words, I swear to you.
Financial gain, because my sister is black. Her husband made a good living, but he wasn't no millionaire. But he made a good living. But he was his personal life heavy into drugs. So it doesn't really financial gain. I agree. I would agree with Lucas. I believe more it's a 40% of financial gain because black women today are making their own path.
I agree.
And they don't really need a come up, honestly. And that's why the black man is so intimidated by that woman because they feel the need to have somebody that needs them instead of wants them. That makes a difference.
I think it's I've seen scenarios where it's a personal choice, and I've seen a lot more scenarios where, much like Ty said, about the options and what they have and rejection. So I think a lot of the women that I see that are choosing to date outside of their race, a lot of the times it's their options. So they're actually just taking what they're being given and choosing amongst that. I've seen women that date white men that are more pro-black than any black woman I've ever met in my life. So, and then you turn around and you look at them, and they're dating a white man that's as white could be, but they are pro-black. They talk about buying black. They talk about, you know, minorities, and they're more educated than anybody else I've seen. So I think sometimes it just boils down to your environment, your upbringing. I think Yvonne said it how you're raised, really. So I think it's more along those lines of your options than so much, you know, a financial, you know, come up. So I agree with you, Tina, on that.
Yeah.
Ty, you have anything to say about that?
Nah, that basically hit it. You changed my perspective. I'll give you that 60-40. Sure.
Definitely. So do educated black women tend to venture outside their race more easily? So Tina talked about 2 seconds ago about how there's so many black women making their way, which is definitely true. There's more black women going to college now than any time ever in history, and graduating at remarkable rates, which is a good thing and a thing that should be celebrated. So Tina, do you think that there's the educated white or black women are venturing out of their race purposefully for some
I
reason?
don't feel like it's purposely. I feel as in Rome, you do as the Romans. If I'm a part of an elite, whatever, and I look around me and all I see is people that look different than me, I don't know too many women that have worked hard to get where they are, to reach back to pull somebody with them, unless they was already with them in the journey.
Uh-huh.
It's you. For me, it's now a thing as money marries money, money dates money. If I have a standard of here, I'm not going to go below my standard unless there's something in me that's causing that ripple of low self-esteem. So I don't think it's done purposely. I just feel that when I have something in common with you, when our brains match and our intellect match, that's who I'm going to be around. That's who I'm going to date, especially when I've done all the work to get to this plateau. So I don't think that it's done purposely. I just feel like as in Rome, you do as.
Okay. What do
My
you think, Ty?
perspective on that is very much different because if the shoe's on the other foot and say this black
I
man,
was gonna get there. Ty. Go ahead. Keep going.
all
Keep
right,
going. Keep going,
so
bro.
if the shoe's on the other foot, there's a lot of women out here that want. We're not even gonna go for the high value. We're just gonna say they want stability from a man, no matter if he is highly educated, makes 100,000 or 60,000. They want a man with some type of stability, and they might not necessarily be on that level, but they're gonna set their standards to the point where they expect a man on that level. So it's kind of unfair for black women to be like, oh, I got my PhD, so now I'm gonna go marry this PhD guy, even though you actually probably don't have anything in common except for education. I mean, it's kind of unfair to say that you're not gonna reach back and grab somebody else when if the education wasn't there, you would expect a black man to reach back and grab you to take care of y'all. Not you necessarily, but this is happening a lot. Like there's so many females with this mansion standard, but PhD or project attitude. Like it's kind of messed up how the double standard is in effect, and a lot of times us men can't do anything about it. So
And see, I don't
yeah,
feel like it is a double standard because here's my thought process on that. If a black man goes to school and gets all this education, he's not going to bring the gum cracking, bamboo earrings, hood yelling across the table to a business meeting. He's going to bring that woman that complements his situation. And I have seen black women be able to do that, and I have seen white women do that for a black man. So that's why I said it has to do with where you are in your life. I don't see if a black man starts out in the hood and has dreams and aspirations. Yes, I have seen sometimes that boo that he fell in love with in high school. Hey, I'm doing this. This is what I'm gonna do. But if I haven't dated anybody and I've got myself out of the hood, no, I'm not going back to the hood to find my husband. That's not ever going to happen. And I feel
Okay,
a
so
black man
we're
that does
not
that
talking
too.
about necessarily going back to the hood, but we're talking about education level and financial level, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if this black man ain't on your same financial level, but you guys have a lot in common? Or he ain't on your same education level because he went and got a trade, but y'all got a lot of common. So you still wouldn't date him because he ain't got the same education level or he doesn't make the same money you do.
That wasn't my point. My point is we have to be hanging out in the same atmosphere for me to meet you. So if you haven't got to those standards to be able to be in the same atmosphere to meet, then no, I would never meet that person. But if he has comes to that area, or if I'm hanging out in a certain spot and he's there, whether he has the education or the financial, or that he is an entrepreneur, he still has to have that same mental capacity to be even socializing and networking in that atmosphere. So no, it's not. You're right. It's not always about the education.
Okay,
It's
so
about the
let me
standard.
lay out a
About the
scenario
standard.
for you real quick. Say you
Okay.
aren't going to college directly out of high school. Say you're not 19 years old actually going to a 4-year college, right? Say you're actually
Mm-hmm.
35 and you're going back to further your education, right? There are a lot of women today that are 35 furthering their education who are getting these degrees and then automatically looking down on this man because he doesn't have that same education level and she's starting to make more money. Even though he is where her actual attitude standard is, she automatically thinks that she's above him because she's making more money. And I'm not saying this happens all the time. I'm just saying that it's starting to happen a lot more.
Ty, I think for women and men, it's different. I think I'm going to pull it out of the race and I'm going to just say women and men. I think men are more likely to date someone out of their financial standing than women
Date
are
down.
to date down. So I think that a man that's a millionaire will have no problem dating somebody that looks good, meets his physical standards, or meets, somewhat of a very shallow standard. They'll take that woman and they'll bring them up. They'll teach them how to talk. They'll teach them how to, instead of talking, how about you not talk? You got gum in your mouth. How about you not say something? They'll teach them whatever they need to teach them to navigate in the room full of sharks. I think it's very rare to non-existent that a woman that has reached that plateau, that's a millionaire, will go and get a man that's below that financial status, that economic standard, and bring him up and do the same for a man. So I think women more likely than not will date at their level or up, and then men will more likely to go down. So I don't think it's so much of a race thing, but I think men
And
on the whole
I think that
will
also
jump
comes
down.
with submission as well. Because
And
a man that's on that
you keep
status
hitting that trigger word. I don't know what you're trying
he's
to
not
get to
gonna
happen here, but
Well,
I'm just
why?
trying to avoid that
but
word. But you
he's not
just
gonna date somebody who thinks that she's powerful. He doesn't want to have to battle with the woman. And women date up because at the end of the day, you're still looking for that stability. You're still looking for that leader. So you're of course you're gonna date somebody that's on your level, education wise, on your standard, because you're still looking for that stability when it comes to the man that you're going to be with. So whether you further your education or not, he still has to be above you.
But
So
why?
oh,
Oh, go ahead,
I'm
Chris.
sorry, guys. My phone died. Sorry.
because you don't have
I
a
see
And
that
charger.
drink.
Right,
My
that's what
phone
you're looking
died and I
for.
went to the liquor
That's what
store.
you're looking for, right? She went to go get a drink. Talk
My
about her
phone
phone
died and I went to get a
my
bottle.
phone died, and I went to the bar while I was on the charger. I said, "Let me kill two birds with one stone." But I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with um a man dating down or a woman dating up or whatever. I'm trying to figure out what did I miss and what question are we on?
Okay, so let me catch you up a little bit. Right now we're on question 4. So do educated black women tend to venture outside their race more easily? So we're talking about the educated, and along the lines, Tina made some great points and Ty made some great points, and we talked about, women, you know, meeting people of their intellectual level. And Tina talked about people being in the same circumstances. That's why they meet, because they're in the same intellectual ballpark. Am I getting you right, Tina? Or did I miss something? Or you want to catch me?
No, you're good. That's right.
So that's what Tina was talking about. Ty was just saying that, basically what I just said, where he's saying that, there's times where a woman won't look down. She won't bring anybody. She won't reach back. That's not within their nature. She'll try to go up, or she'll have a higher mindset that I'm better. I would never look backwards. Ty, did I get it, or you want to add something?
No, spot on.
Yeah, because when I came on and I was in backstage, all I heard was project mentality, and I was like, "Well, what?"
Oh, yeah. No, that's an illustration of the point. Illustration.
Yes, that
was
Okay.
illustrating.
All right. Well, all right.
But Corey, do you think that a woman, of a higher caliber is easily persuaded to, talk to somebody that's of a lower economic standard?
No. I think that
Do you think that a man that's of a higher financial standard would date a woman that's of a lower economic standard?
Yes.
No race, just men and women.
Yes,
Oh,
but that's because
you didn't even need that. You was like, yes.
Yeah, no, that's what a man is. That's what a man is supposed to do. He's supposed to take care of the lady that may not.
See what I'm saying?
That's his job. Listen.
No matter what, we're expected to provide. No matter where we're at.
Hold
it
on.
Don't
Let's
matter.
talk about no. Ty, listen. Mason, listen.
I'm listening.
A woman goes to the workforce and automatically makes less than a man when she is hired. Is that not true?
That's
not true. Y'all don't think that?
No. The wage gap has been debunked several times.
The what?
The wage gap conversation has been debunked several times. Well, especially in today's society.
That's what the internet told me. So
the internet told me. Oh my God, we're doing this again.
The internet all the time.
I need you to check your sources.
The internet said men lie. Who lies? Men lie.
No, I just think that that's really in a man's nature to be more like in a position of power in his relationship than a woman. So if he's making more, if he's a little bit more educated or whatever, then yeah, that's just how it's supposed to be.
I just feel like financially a man will reach back to get a woman because he has something to prove to himself. That he can be that provider. I mean, you think about it. It's been embedded in our Black men to be failures. They've been stripped. They've been sodomized. They've been told that they're nothing. And in front of their Black women, their penises were cut off, cast to the side. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's embedded in our blood. We didn't have to learn it. It just was our blueprint throughout history. So, yes. If a man reaches a certain financial point that he now can take care of his family, depending on the circumstances, if he was struggling all this time and now he's at a point where he got a raise or he found a better job, absolutely he's going to floss because he got something to prove to friends, family. Oh, especially the woman's family. Oh, y'all was talking shit about me. Well, check this out. Look at what I just bought her for her birthday. She got a brand new ribbon, brand new car on top of her. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it has a lot to do with some of the circumstances with that. Because value, a Black man has to feel valued. He has to in order to survive.
Fuck that shit. Drop a bomb on that.
Again, we got explosives.
Don DeMarco.
Oh, you want the bars too? She getting bars.
My mom spit that shit.
And to think like Ty, I understand everything that you're saying, and some of it I definitely agree with. You understand? Other Black women have watched their Black men be devalued throughout history. It's a learned behavior that we have developed.
Yeah, so, and a little bit of infiltration.
Absolutely. So when other races come into play and they give you that nurturing part that is missing, that value, absolutely, I would flock to it too. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm starving for milk and ain't getting no milk, and this person come along and they green and they give me milk, I'm gonna follow the milk. You understand? So I definitely can respect what you're saying, absolutely. But I think the problem is just so much deeper. Like it's so much deeper. Until we change how we view ourselves and each other, that's why the white people can come in and separate and divide and cause all this craziness for us, because we are the most powerful race of people, and that's why they
With
did what
deep
they did
rooted
to us.
insecurities.
Absolutely. So they
Yeah.
feed in. What's the one thing you could do to make a woman fear you is take her child from her and sell them somewhere else. Take her man and abuse him. So yes, we have been beat into submission, and y'all have been beat. We have beaten y'all into submission because that's the example that we've had over history.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to change. The change has to start somewhere, and
So can I ask you a question then? That it goes with what you just said, because it just like sparked something in my mind. Do you think that the black woman fears the word submission because of
He
the
said submission
slavery?
again. Oh my god!
I'm sorry. You're gonna hear it
It's
over and
like
over and over and over. You're gonna wake
okay,
up talking.
okay.
Oh,
So
submission.
we're
Oh,
going
We
here.
not,
Okay,
but Todd
all right.
definitely has a lot of thoughts on submission. I don't know.
Okay, I'm a person of words. People in general use words totally wrong all the time because everybody thinks they know everything. When you say to submit, that means to accept and yield to a superior force. Ain't nobody superior than me but God. Okay?
All right, I'm gonna hold you for a second. We gonna get into submission. We got that question last. I got a quick question, Corey. How much of a man's value is tied to his financial status? How much of a man's value is tied to his financial status? How much do you value a man more because of his financial status? And do you believe black women value a man's financial status more than any other race? I will respect you because you can provide, or because you're bringing a certain amount of money.
No, I think that women, the race of women value a man's finances, period. What woman doesn't want to have a man that is financially stable? Now, how much? You want me to talk from my own personal point of view, or do you
in
want
general,
me to speak for women? I can't really speak for women. I can only speak for Corey. So for Corey, well, let me just say, like, I've dated men that were definitely like high on the totem pole when it comes to finances. Like they had over 100K a year, stuff like that, right? But that didn't make me value them any more or any less. It became more so about the person, because I noticed that a person that gets that type of money, they have all different types of women that is coming into their lane. So you become disposable. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you got to know the value in yourself. You can't even go based off of what his value is. What's your value? What are the things that you, because he's going to think that his money's going to be able to fix everything. And money don't fix everything. Money
So
don't
let me ask you a question.
Piss poor
I'm sorry, I cut
personality.
you off. Do you feel that because you knew he had money, now you began to look inwards versus looking outwards? But initially you look outwards. So for instance, you go in and you're like, can you provide stability? Okay, he could provide stability. Now I'm going to make sure I'm at the level that he would want to stay with me. Do you think that that's the way?
Provide stability for me, because I provide my own stability.
Oh, talk that talk. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Ain't no slouch in me. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what else could you do for me? Or what have you done for me lately? Like, you know what I mean? Type of things. I can do everything myself. I'm probably, when people see me or view me, I'm probably their definition of what we talked about earlier. Like, I'm probably like the angry black woman, the hot girl summer. I'm all of the stereotypes and the stigmas. Actually, even when people hear me talk or whatever the case is, but if you know me for real on a personal level, you know I can be those things sometimes, but I'm not that. Those things don't make me who I am. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm always looking inward, especially when in a relationship. I'm always trying to like check myself. Nobody else has anything. No, his finances and all of that stuff don't really matter. I know I talk a lot of shit on the show and just in general all the time, but that really doesn't make up anything. But every woman wants to be financially secure.
What do you think, Tina? Do you think a man's value is tied to his financial?
No.
His financials?
When I met my ex-husband, we were teenagers. He had the best qualities, and he was broke. I saw potential. So what I did was I stood behind his potential and encouraged him. He worked 2 jobs. He wanted me to stay home. I was a stay-home mom. He worked 2 jobs. Anything I asked for, it was given to me.
Clap
And
it up for the good man.
He wasn't a millionaire at all. He worked 2 jobs. He's a great person. He still is a great person. So I never valued anybody with the things that he had, because he lived with his mama. We lived with his mama when we got married. So he didn't have to provide those things because I knew that he was going to be great one day. I knew it. And not because he had a lot of money, just because he was a great provider and he would do whatever was necessary. My wife right now is a great provider. She ain't got a whole lot of money. She's not rich. You understand, she's bringing in millions of dollars, but she's a great provider. And she knows the standards and qualities that she has is what provides that potential. So you may not have a lot, but if you have the potential to grow into a lot, I don't see what the problem is.
That's funny, because I always say I ain't dating nobody for their potential.
I was about to say,
either you got it or you
or
don't.
he do not fail.
But see,
What you say?
the potential talk is, you got to be young for that. You got to be young for that. You can't have a potential talk when you're 35 and you met him at 35 and he's I see the potential in him. No, it don't work.
And see,
it don't work when the age comes.
I have to agree. I don't agree with that, because my son's been locked up and he's 30. He has
How long has he been locked up?
12 years. He has the potential to be a good human.
But when you're locked up though, that's a whole different situation, because you have to come out from the bottom. Your potential starts right there. Okay. So that's a little different. The age don't necessarily matter in that.
Okay, that's aspect. The question I was going to ask. Okay.
Because your life has essentially stopped.
Okay.
When you come out, you're gonna come out at 30, 35, whenever, but he's essentially an 18-year-old man when he come out.
Okay.
So he still has that potential, but when you've been free since you became an adult, your potential is down there. When you're 30, like, ain't nobody looking for your potential, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to date for potential.
You're supposed to already be on your way. You've had a lot of time to get it together, my guy.
Question, Silas, but what if you had personal struggles? Like, what if you have a great heart, but your mother died and you had no way to bury her, so you're taking a pot to do that? Like,
all I can say is life ain't fair.
Yeah.
But I think you do have to consider that in the potential argument. You got to consider what that person has been through. So, I mean, there's many situations that would prohibit you because you didn't have the opportunities to take advantage of being 20 or being 21 and being 22. If you were born in a third world country, you don't have the same opportunities as somebody who was born in New York City.
America, and then you just got to America, then you got potential talk, because you're starting at that potential zone. But say that person done came to America and been in here 10 years and still ain't done nothing with itself.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
I'm saying, like, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you're young, if you're as an American, when you're young, when you guys met as a teenagers, you're in that potential zone. You still got a lot of growing to do. There's so many different options. But when you are hitting that 25 mark and life is really starting to come at you, you gotta sink or swim at this point. Like, the potential starts to become less and less and less.
I think it's more about opportunity.
Find a business. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I think it's more about opportunity, not so much age. If you had 30 years of opportunity and you've done nothing with it, that says a lot about your character. If you've had 1 year of opportunity and you became a millionaire, that says a lot about your character. So I think that potential plays a role, but it's like your credit score. You can't, it doesn't count for 100% of anything. It counts for a percentage. But that's a personal thing.
Of that movie, Acrimony. Like, when people talk about potential, look how long that man processed that dream. He had the potential for that to develop into what it did. She was mad. She was mad as shit. But when it came into fruition, because she got tired of waiting and she felt as though her life needed to be moved forward. So sometimes you can't always say that, because when you believe in your spouse and you know that they are who they are, I absolutely believe that you can create an idea no matter what age you are. I'm 50
Oh
years
yeah,
old.
for sure.
I'm back
You
in
could,
school at 50.
And
Okay.
that's what I was getting to. Like
Yeah.
you still got that. You still have a chance
Mm-hmm.
to become, but the older a woman gets, the less a woman's gonna be like, yeah, all right, I just met him and he's got potential.
Yeah.
that's true. Ty, can I ask you,
That's what
Joe,
I'm getting at.
real quick, how much of your value do you think is tied to your financial status?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I ain't balling. I ain't gonna front like I am. I ain't balling out here. I'm just surviving as a father, trying to hold my family together. That's really about it for me. I mean, there's things I want to do, but my priorities are not in myself right now. My priorities are for my girls. So
Man, hold on. You
Yeah,
got
give
bars.
him
You
the
get
ball.
applause. We gonna share the applause. I'm gonna give it to you today. Pause. Extra sound effects. Nah, I definitely agree with you.
How much of your like what percentage of your finances are into make up who you are, Mason?
Like I said, it's about credit score, so it's different things. Different things. Partially, it's potential, but a large part of it is what I'm worth as far as financially and stuff like that. I think that that's important to me because I just think that that's just a gateway to other things and other avenues. So for instance, I think that how much money I'm worth finances me buying things for a podcast, so I could put this together so that this could be something that potentially, after long time or after times where we're working hard throughout the night doing whatever we got to do to push this through, and this hits, I'm investing. So I think that money plays a role in it because I'm investing in a dream that has potential that will go to the next level. So I think money does play a role. So money for me is important. Is it the end all be all to my value? No, because then there's my ethics that plays a role in it. Well, it's who I am as a father that plays a role in it. It's who I am as a man that plays a role in it. Am I a stand-up person? Plays a role in it. So when I say it's a part of your credit score, it's like all these things make up,
Factor.
my value. So I don't think that money is zero, but I don't think that money is 100%.
Well, I like that analogy instead of that interview analogy. That credit score is way better.
Yeah.
That interview was crazy.
It's great. Oh my God. Like, maybe I need to clear that up. All I'm saying is you got to make sure people fit into your life. Make sure they fit into your standards and where you want to be and go. That's it.
I'm sorry.
We talked about that for
Nobody
like an
expected
hour
that
and a half.
And everybody expected that from Corey D's. They didn't expect that from you.
I know, but I had to explain it more. When I explain it, it makes sense. I think that particular example was just too much. Pause.
I have my Mrs. Butterfly, my Mr. Interview.
Next question, or unless anybody else had anything to say about this question. All right, next question. Do Black women date outside their race in aspirations to have biracial children?
that's some ghetto shit as far as I'm concerned, bro. I don't see that, but the couple times I've heard it, it's always been from some straight ghetto shit. I've never really been anybody been serious about. I want mixed babies. I want my little baby to have straight hair.
I think that's young.
I just
That's
feel
some
like
young
that's some young ghetto shit.
But I think very young. I don't think that that's something that a grown woman, any woman that I would want around, would be something that they're conversating about.
Well,
I mean, I do hear people say that mixed babies are cuter, but not like I
don't
want
even
mixed
hear
babies
that.
strictly. I hear that shit a lot, but mainly from white girls.
No.
They're really
they
not.
want the eyes.
I think Corey's little babies are cute as hell, and they ain't black.
They're black.
That's what I'm saying. They're black, but they're cute as hell with their little voices.
What's so crazy about this question? I was laughing about this question a little bit because I was like, nah, that is really some ghetto shit. But not even just that. I was like, so I'm doing a sperm bank.
Taboo as fuck.
I'm doing a sperm bank? What?
I'm doing the sperm bank type of thing. Mason, are you following?
I'm listening
Stop
because I
having
don't know where
kids.
this is going.
So
No more kids. Stop having kids.
you have
He's like, you're a stigma.
Stop it.
You're a stereotype.
listen. So
Black women have mad kids.
you get to. I have 2 children.
I know how much. Just
We
perpetuating
just
the
talking
stereotype.
shit.
No, so we have the option of picking pretty much any type of race to mix with that we want, right? But I really was struggling because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a real hard choice because one is like I could have a mixed baby even though I've never been with a white man. Or I could just stick she wants a black carrier, a black sperm, a black donor. But I don't want that. I'm like, I already
Can I
got
ask you a question?
I want some.
Why?
Can I ask you a question though? Can I ask you a question?
What?
What do you think that your child might grow up and feel ostracized because they look different from all of you?
No,
If
because
you did go with the mixed child,
I don't think that because
you think other kids would be like, you're light skinned, but your brother and sister and your mom are all dark. That's weird.
No, I didn't think like that.
You gotta think that type of stuff through.
Colorism
everybody
is real.
else already, everybody else
Colorism
gonna
is
think
real.
about that, and the kids don't care. They don't care.
Well,
They
see,
are
I feel like
brutal.
I already have like a blended family. I feel like even when it comes down to my little brothers and sisters, we're all very blended because we're all adopted. I have 8 adopted brothers and sisters. If y'all
Yeah,
didn't
but they
know
ain't
about
gonna look at them. They're gonna look at the
well, those
immediate
are the
family and see the
okay.
differences
But
and,
I also have an
point and pick
adopted
at that.
biracial daughter, so she's very much so lighter than everyone, and she has hazel eyes. Sometimes they're green, depends on the day. So she looks different. So I felt like when we were sitting there looking at donors, I was like, well, then if we got this, white donor, then this baby will tie the family in. It looks like I have one older, lighter child, and the last one kind of looks like that. We don't know what happened in between, but all my kids are like.
How old is she? The little girl you talking about?
She's 17.
Have you talked to her about her being biracial?
She thinks she's like black. She's
Black.
Have you had a conversation with her about school and what she's gone with? Okay. I have a niece. My sister her father's white, so my sister looks like she's white. I have a niece that looks she looks brown. She's light. She's fairly light. Do you know the persecution that they come under when they're mixed children? 65% of biracial kids, are subjected to bullying. Let's just call it what it is.
From both sides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I understand what you're saying, and you have to think for your child. Personal preference. This is not a bracelet. This is a human being that you're picking out. And they already have to go outside in the world. Now they're questioning, yeah, I do look different than my siblings. Am I adopted? All these tough conversations that you have to have on top of the original tough conversations you're going to have. Think about the mental health of the child. I am very strong when it comes to biracial children. And you can call me racist. You can call me what you want. Like I said, I have a sister-in-law that's white. My brother's black. She cannot have those tough conversations about when the police pull you over. She does not know what that is like. She cannot have that conversation. She does not know how to distribute that conversation. When my nieces and nephews are dry-skinned, unless she had a black person tell her they need this type of oil, my nieces and nephews walked around looking crazy because she don't wear lotion.
Yeah, that's kind of a daily fight around my house.
Yeah, like
I've been trying to moisturize my daughter's hair.
Yeah, you have to.
There's a detangler in it. Like, no, it's oil. Put some oil in that hair.
But you know what's hot? If they don't have a husband to tell them, I'm the black, this is what you need to do, it can get crazy. You understand what I'm saying? I feel as a race, we have to act like these children are black. Just because they have a white parent, these are black children.
Oh, my
They are
both my
not
kids will tell
being
you I'm
raised.
black.
Yeah,
We're
that's
black.
what I'm saying. You're rare. I'm telling you, you're rare. You have to do that. I don't care how light your baby may come out, that is a black child. And you need to make sure that you are training them as a black child. Just because they got green eyes, I have a cousin that's brown skinned, and his one eye is is green and one is blue and brown. Okay, all that none of that eye color shit matter because it don't matter. It don't matter because the genes can come from anywhere. My point is with the children having those tough conversations that need to be had. You know, Ty, I respect you. I respect the black man and white woman relationship than vice versa. Because that white man cannot tell his black son what you're supposed to do to come home safe. What it feels like to get,
Hey,
you understand what I'm saying?
I agree, but at the same time, like personally, one of my
Mm-hmm.
homies he's white and he has a black son and he takes care of his black son and he makes sure to have these tough conversations
Is it
because
because of his
he's grown up in
atmosphere? Is it because of his atmosphere?
the surroundings.
His surroundings.
Yeah, like
Absolutely.
he's hood, like he's a
But
hood dude with a black baby.
but
Like
there's a lot of these
he
are
knows
not that
he's
don't
been
have that
educated on that.
surrounding. Yeah, they don't have that surroundings. And
Oh,
these kids are walking around unprepared for life. I mean, even Hispanics. I have a really good friend, and the kid, the father of her kids is black. She raises them. They're not together. They're not around the father. She's not having that
So
tough
she raises him
conversation.
Spanish.
Yeah, but he's a black boy. I don't
uh-huh.
care how much Puerto Rican is in him. He is a black man. And she hasn't had that conversation. That's the reason. That's the only thing I have a problem with having these mixed children is that they're not prepared as black individuals.
Hey, I hate to cut on y'all a little early, but I gotta be up at 4 a.m. to get to work. So I appreciate y'all having me on. Like I'm
Oh,
this
and
is
we,
hella
you know
hype.
what's funny about it? We're getting into your question next too. That's the
I
funny
know,
part
and
about
that's
it.
what I'm like. I was
Do you
just
want to
looking at the
state your
questions
comments
like,
on that? Because I definitely don't want to lose your comments on
yeah.
Yeah,
that.
I love it.
All right, yeah. Let me go ahead and make my statement. Let me
Yes,
check these
please.
questions
I
real
just know
quick.
that you've been waiting for this moment. I want you to not have it. So go
Okay,
ahead.
so Miss Tina kind of tied some of how I feel about it into the stigma of black women not submitting to black men, but it's a lot deeper than just slavery. Um, okay, so it starts with the slavery, right? We were beaten, poked, prodded, treated like shit, made to submit by force for all that time, right? Post slavery into the Jim Crow, we are beaten, hung, degraded, treated like shit for all these years, basically forced to submit to these bullshit rules and ostracized publicly everywhere we go. So, post Jim Crow, Black Panther movement, civil rights movement, the CIA and that white lady that that picture you see with the black lady and the white lady with the fist. That white lady worked for the CIA.
Yep.
Okay, she was
Uh-huh.
planted to separate the black woman from the black man. As that goes on, the government steps in and says, get rid of the black man and we'll be your daddy.
That's right.
So the black women, sorry to say this, but they play into that. And they're like, you know what? We don't need you. We got what we need over here. So fuck you. Pardon my language, but that's it. It is what it is. Fast forward 50, 60 years later, that whole system brought them into, okay, we gave you everything you need. Now you got to go get a job or an education. So they get the job, they get the money, they get the education, they get the knowledge. The furthermore with that, the less they need that black man. And then even the ones that aren't educated or financially secure are still like, I don't need you for shit. I still
Uh-huh.
got daddy over here.
Uh-huh.
So mix that with bad relationship behaviors, bad examples of what a marriage should be, or what a man should be, or what a woman is supposed to be. It's just a massive destructed there's no discipline for any woman to be like, okay, I need this man. I need this man to help me raise these kids properly. So it's like, why they're like, why even bother? That's why all day long you hear women saying men ain't shit, men ain't this, men ain't that. But then they go around picking these same men ain't shit type dudes that they're talking about, and then they have sons by these men ain't, the same dude they talking about ain't shit, and they raising that son to not be shit. They claim that they're raising him better, but he ends up doing the same exact thing. And then when
Because
they
that was
grow up,
his
it's
example.
like, see, you just like your damn dad. And it's like you are pushing us into we're being pushed into the same positions that they don't want us to be in, but they're not doing anything to change. So it's like you don't want to submit, but at the same time, I understand why the stigma of their non-submission is happening. They've been raised from far back up until now to basically not meet us. So as we are like, we want y'all to meet us. We need y'all. We want y'all. We need y'all. They're like, but we really don't need you. We want your seed, but we don't really want you. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like, you look good, but he ain't really good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even if they get the man that they claim they want, they really not sure because they haven't had the example of what it looks like to submit properly. And submission is not being somebody's slave. Submission is simply just caring for somebody with passion. Like, yeah, if you're gonna submit to somebody that's higher than you, they're gonna be leading you. But at the same time, it's essentially just love. Loving somebody else properly. Like men submit to women all the time. Maybe not as a leadership thing, but we go out of our way to make sure y'all got what y'all need. We take care of y'all. My lady asks me what she wants something to eat. I'm gonna go get that for her. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do what I gotta do. What's the problem with women being like, okay, you got this. I trust you to lead the family into a better position.
I mean, I think Tina made a great point earlier about the getting caught up in the words. I think what you said, an example of what you said is 100% accurate, but I think the word submission has such a negative connotation to it that we
Yeah.
kind of get caught up in it. So I mean, sometimes I try not to use that word, but everything else definition wise I'll use or I'll say, because the word submission is a triggering word and it automatically starts putting people's defenses up and they don't want
I
to hear the
mean, think
message
about it
because
in
the
terms
word
of a
submission.
fight. Think about it in terms of a fight. That I wouldn't want to hear the word submission. Like I tapped out and got submitted in this fight. He choked me to death,
Exactly.
and I lost.
But if
Like I get
you
it.
say I want to love you the way I want you to love me. I want to be a part of I want us to be a part of a team the way that other ethnicities are. If you say that I want you to be okay and I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing as the provider, I want to make sure you're protected,
Right.
I want to provide all those things for you, and in return I want you to also be a member of this team and make sure that you play your part as well, whatever you guys decide that your parts are. I think that goes over better than when men are like hammering the word submission, because it just sounds, to your point, it sounds like you're in a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But based on your
But at the same
definition,
time,
everything you said was about
you
love,
gotta.
about caring. It's
Yeah.
about taking care of each other. Everything you said was about the furtherance of that couple, whatever couple
But
that
there
you're
has to
painting.
be a leader.
Yes, there's
It's
always got to
hard.
be a
It's
leader.
hard. It's hard for two people to come to the same exact conclusion. That is, somebody has to be the voice of reason, the voice of rationality, the voice of logic. A lot of times, women think with an emotional sense. So naturally, by our nature, it's men are trying to be the leaders like we're supposed to be. So submitting to the man, which I know y'all don't like, but submitting to your man if he's leading properly, there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Underline that, leading properly.
leading
Always
properly.
underline that. That's
You know what I'm
definitely
saying?
Nobody wants to be
Bold
led into a river to
italicized.
drown. Exactly. Nobody wants to drink Kool-Aid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You know what
I
I'm
don't mean
saying?
that in the terms of drinking. I mean it
Exactly.
in
No,
terms
no
of
David Koresh
Jim
stuff going
Jones.
around
Yeah,
here.
exactly. So nobody wants to be
You know what I
led
mean?
in a terrible way. So I think because of the stigmas of men, I think black men culturally, I think there's a lot of feeling that we don't know how to lead. We don't know how to be financially successful. We don't know how to protect you because, to both of your points, at points in history, we were not protecting our black women.
We couldn't. We submitted to the fear of being killed or
Exactly.
maimed, or you know what I'm saying. So they also have to look at us like, damn, bro, you a bitch. You should have fought to the death for me.
Exactly. So now that stigma's there. To Tina's point, that's been forever. To your point, Ty, that's been through history. If you think about it, so we're fighting from a position of weakness, trying to elevate ourselves.
And
So
that's
there
why
is a
mental
desire to
health
see
and
more proof.
therapy is necessity.
Yeah. So there's a desire to see more proof. So that's basically what it boils down to. So that's just my opinion.
No,
Anything else, Ty, before
it
you
is
cut
what
out? I
it
don't
is.
want to hold
No.
you too long, but I want to make sure you got your point across. And then Tina, I'm gonna give you the floor
The only thing I'm
go.
gonna say, lastly, if, for all the black mothers watching, if you have sons and daughters, mental health is should be priority in your family from age of them being able to display an emotional thought. They should have some type of mental health in their life, because a lot of times not having that outlet or somebody to feed us the proper knowledge and how to act or how to think or what's right, what's wrong, how to keep our emotions in check, when to, you know what I'm saying, when to get that out, that turns into a lot of broken adults. And we need, as a black community, we definitely need to get that in check. Jesus ain't gonna help you with your mental issues.
Bars.
Okay.
What a weird way to end it. So thank
On
you.
my mama.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ty. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Tina, floor is yours. Let me know what you think about that, because we said a lot there, and you were very quiet, and you listened and you took a lot in. So I definitely want to know what your perspective is. Submission. That word.
Yeah, that word definitely is a trigger. Because like I said, it means to basically bow down to someone who's superior, and I don't ever think that my wife is superior. I really don't, because that means I have to be inferior to think that somebody's superior. So when you are submissive, that's a little different. That's actually allowing someone of authority to make decisions. A lot of times people confuse submission with being quiet, because I don't have to agree with you and can still be quiet because I don't want to say nothing or argue. I don't want to hear what you got to say. I'm just going to do what you say because I don't want to hear it. When you're submissive to someone, that means you're a willing participant of what the situation.
That's a big difference.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So being willing means you are in agreement with what they're saying, and not just the fact that I don't want to hear your mouth, so I'm just going to do what you say, and not have to. I really don't think you're right, but instead of having to keep arguing with you because you're trying to out talk me, I'm just going to be quiet and just do what you say. That is not submission.
Not at all.
It's being comfortable with the fact that this person is going to lead you, and you agree with it, and you are subjecting yourself gently to the situation. And
Is
it's
that a
not
level of trust? Is that a level of trust? Because I think a lot of this word, I'm gonna just not say it. I think a lot of that word boils down to trust, and I think that trust is the biggest factor in all of what we're saying as far as relationships.
And that's what I was going to say. That being submission means I have to trust you. I have to trust that you're going to do what you say. I have to trust that you're not going to lead me astray. I have to trust that you are always going to be the beginning of our step forward in life and not the demise of us. And that in itself is hard, because if you're a person, when I met you, you were struggling and I helped you build our empire, Why would I be so submissive when we did it together? You should be listening to me as much as I listen to you. And then we come together to whatever the best decision is for the problem that we have. Yes, sometimes my decision is what works. Sometimes your decision is what works. But I think it's about compromise. I don't think it's about submission. Who has
I
the
think
better idea?
I think that's a sign of good leadership. I think being able to say, listen, I am a member of this team. I may be the leader of this team. I may make the decisions or whatever the case may be. I may write the check or whatever the leadership role looks like in your particular household. But at the same point in time, if my other half has a great idea that's going to come back to us tenfold, I'm an idiot and a bad leader if I don't listen to my other half. I think that, like I've always said, I think Michelle and Barack have that type of relationship where I feel like she can, and she does, give her input. She doesn't need to be the star of the show, and I don't think she wants to be up front and be the star of the show. But I guarantee that Barack has gone to her many a time to say, "Hey, babe, what do you think about what's going on in Afghanistan? Because this is going on." And I think she has the capability and the understanding to give him feedback and be like, nah, you know what? You should look at it this way. You should look at it that way. And I think that that's the showing of a great leader, to take that input and then say, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. And if that's the best idea, that's the way we're going to go. Right. So I think that that is definitely a sign of leadership, where you can take the ideas of people that are on your team and say, this is a better idea.
Absolutely.
So I definitely agree.
I definitely agree with that. And like I said, because the trust, like Ty said, the trust has been broken for us, for, our Black men or Black women, that, hey, I've been doing this myself. Why all of a sudden should I trust you? What have you done to prove that you are capable of handling this situation? You just can't jump in. Some men just jump in. They get these women that are broken, or whomever you're dating. You get these people that are broken, and you're going to try to come in because you think you can control the situation, and you can't always control. You cannot control broken glass when it's broken all over the floor. Like
That's a great analogy.
You got to put it together, and that takes time and patience and different circumstances and situations. That you have to bring that together, and once you bring it together, then you can say, okay, I've loved you past your pain. We've got through this situation, so now I'm building my trust. But you can't be trying to do that and mess up and then think that trust factor is going to stay there. Nope, not with somebody that's broken. That's just not going to happen. So because a lot of people attract other people that have brokenness, but what's broken within them is what they attract. It becomes a little tough. Yep. So you have to both work on the fact of, okay, we have to trust each other, but yet if you're going to be the head, I can allow you to be the head, but you can't fuck it up. And that's basically what it is.
And like with any job, if you're the leader, there comes a lot of responsibility. If you're the manager, there comes no. But if you are the leader, you can't just take the good things. You got to take the bad too. That means, if I'm in a family and we got one loaf of bread, that means I'm taking a smaller piece or no piece whatsoever because I'm the leader. There's a lot that comes with being the leader of your family that we often overlook, and we just want the dominant perspective of it. But there's sacrifice that takes place. There's, what I'm saying, there's sometimes putting your wife ahead. Hey, if you're in a position and you have you just finished your nursing degree and you have the, you know what, I'm going to pick up the slack over here because I'm still a leader. It doesn't take away from me as a man, but I know that you're going to get more money. But you know what? I'm going to pick up the kids. I'm going to take care of that. But it doesn't lessen me as a man. But I know that, hey, as a team player right now, we need a point guard. You playing center. We can't both play the same role. So sometimes it's a matter of doing what's best for your family despite your ego. So I think that there's a lot that goes to that leadership role that people sometimes overlook. They don't, understand it, and they don't,
all they see is, oh, you're
the good parts.
Yeah. They don't see what comes behind it. And like I tell my wife all the time, everybody plays a position, and the problem comes in where you don't know your position. Exactly. And that's where the problems come in. But once you know your position and you play it to the best of your ability, it's like a well-oiled machine. It runs perfect every time.
Every sport, everything, there's everybody's not the same position. Everybody can't be the
No.
point guard on any winning team. So
Nope.
you got to know, to your point, you got to play your position. And sometimes that position changes, but if you want to win, you're going to win together.
You got to do it. What you got to do, what's required, what's necessary to make it work.
Definitely.
Definitely compromise is a better word than submission.
Yeah. So you've been in a very long relationship. We talk about it all the time. What would be 3 tips that you would give for anybody that's in a relationship to be successful? Because you guys have a very successful relationship in my point of view. So if you could give 3 tips, you weren't prepared for this. So
No.
you're going on the fly. But 3 tips.
Don't take it personal. Have a great sense of humor.
Because life is going to be tough. Sometimes you just got to laugh at it.
Sometimes laughter is the best thing. You be like, this motherfucker crazy. And just chuckle it up and keep it pushing.
That gets you through a lot. That's underrated. I agree.
Yes. And what would be my 3rd point? Seek first to understand.
That's a good one. You want to elaborate on that one a little bit? That's a good one, though. Seek first to understand.
Sometimes we have to step out of our belief system when someone is expressing how they feel. Just because feelings are never wrong. You seek out what the issue is with your partner to be able to understand. Because if I'm mourning the loss of my brother, but you come and you say something to me and I'm snapping at you, you need to seek out, this is not your behavior, so what's wrong? Then that gives you the point of understanding why I'm snippy or snapping. And that gives you a whole new perspective on why your mate is snippy. So when you seek
bars.
So when you seek first,
I hear you, Mel.
Yeah. So when you seek first to understand, it eliminates a lot of miscommunication.
Well said. So we're going to wrap it up because I don't think Corey's coming back. So as always, you can find us here on YouTube live every Tuesday and Thursdays. Hush Your Mouth Entertainment. You know, we're on Facebook. You can find us there. You can also follow us on Instagram. My Instagram personally is at YNVS_ it's Mason. Tina, do you have an Instagram or do you want to shout out That Liquidation?
No, That Liquidation place. Definitely hit us up. We got some goodies. It's coming around Christmas time, so definitely take a look and see what we can do for you.
Definitely. See, that's what I'm talking about. You got to plug the white stuff. All right, so that's it for us. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, we want you to make sure you hush your mouth.